Is MJF going to be at WrestleMania 41? Is Solo Sikoa going to walk out with the WWE Women's United States Championship? Y'all have a lot of hot takes, and I might have some myself. And we're going to get to all of them, all related to the road to WrestleMania 41 in Las Vegas. So you better strap in, strap on, and put a little lube on that bad boy, because we got a piping hot Apron Bump podcast coming at you. I didn't really set that up for Apron Bump podcast to be the last words. Whatever. Hit the intro, Bartholomew.
The hardest, talk around and disregard it. Strip you off the ground, show you what hard is. Standing strong and proud, nothing can knock this. Let's get started.
What's up, everybody? Howdy. How is everybody doing today? Welcome to the Apron Bump podcast. I am your host, the hardest part of the ring, Kyle Bird. Sorry, let me silence my phone. Get a bunch of Grindr notifications. Hi, how are you? How's everybody's New Year's? New year, new us, huh? How's 2025 treating everybody so far? As we are, a week into it. Just got back from a few days, the New Year's lake weekend, I guess, with a couple friends. And boy, Daddy cannot drink like he used to. I think I had more Tums than beers, but I digress. We're gonna still power through this, though. I'm not like hungover or anything. I just have I have molten hot diarrhea. We'll see how long we last here, because we got WrestleMania to talk about, everybody. If you've listened to the Apron Pump podcast, you've heard me talk about WrestleMania 17, 18, 19, 10, 11, 13. Which, by the way, if you'd like to go listen to those episodes, they're all in the archives, as well as so many other shows that I've covered from promotions big and small, from all over the world, across 4 different decades. Several chronological timelines that I cover, whether it's the Monday Night Wars, the golden eras of TNA and Ring of Honor, In Progress Wrestling, Ruthless Aggression, Attitude Era. Go to apronbump.com, go to the episodes tab, and you can select whatever timeline you'd like to chronologically binge, as I've had various podcast hosts, wrestlers, other people involved in wrestling, and just good buddies on to talk about pro wrestling and all the wackiness that it's given us over the years. So go check that out if you have not already. But we're here to talk about some current stuff, baby. WrestleMania 41. I put out a tweet essentially saying to give me your wildest predictions in terms of WrestleMania, the show, the road to WrestleMania. So maybe involving the Rumble, Elimination Chamber, storylines in between now and Mania. We're all over the place here. You guys came. You guys came to play and sent me a lot of wild predictions. Some were more wild than others. Some I'd never even considered the thought before, which I'm excited to get into today. But basically what this episode is going to be is I'm going to respond to your wildest takes related to the road to WrestleMania 41. And I'm also going to propose a card, or predict a card, I guess you would say, based on just vibes. Like I've put limited thought on the card. I mean, I shouldn't say that. I put a little bit of thought into it, but I didn't look too much into the, what's been reported, who's backstage at Raw, who's Paul Levesque got his finger on and finger in. Like, it's first, can we just, the reason I didn't research those reports, if you're watching on video, I'm giving the heaviest of air quotes that I can get with my little sausage fingers. I tweeted this out. I'm going to repeat it here so I can look at you in the eye, so I can send this into your ear holes, right? Listen closely. You do not know what the WrestleMania card is. I'll let that sit there. I'll let it marinate. let it get into your ear canal, and maybe it takes a second to kind of it's another word for marinate, soak, like the Mormons, right? I'm going to put this into your ears, and I'm going to have somebody else shake the bed so that it's okay in the eyes of God. Soaking, by the way. That's a soaking reference. Do people know what soaking is? Whatever. We'll get into that later. Most importantly, what I'm telling you, you do not know what the WrestleMania card is. I don't care who's reporting it. I don't care if it's Dave Meltzer, Sean Ross Sapp, former guests of the Apron Bump. Some of these people I like more than others. Some are reputable. Some have a good track record in some things, right? I'm telling you right now, there's probably not one person in the world that can say today what the WrestleMania card is going to be in April. There's loose. I think Triple H even said it in an interview. He's like, I have a plan. He's like, he was like, wow, well, global brands, I have an idea what WrestleMania is going to look like, but things change. We got to check the temperature. We got to check the pulse of the audience. After all, we are a global brand of a $5 billion Netflix deal. Wow. You know what I'm saying? I got lost in the impression there. What I'm saying here, you don't know what the card is. So can we stop being like, oh, why is Seth Rollins facing Gunther? I don't want to see that match. You're getting mad at a thing that hasn't become a thing. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying don't get worked up about rumors. Like, we're all watching the product, right? Well, I wouldn't say all of us, but people watch the product, and you can make predictions on the card based on what the product is in front of you with your eyes, which is what I'm going to predict at the end of this episode. Just want to get that out of the way. It fucking irritates me. Oh, word is that The Rock's coming in. He's going to edge CM Punk out of the main event. Like, yeah, that could happen. But people are already getting mad on the account of CM Punk for Rock coming in when this fucking shit hasn't even happened yet. I'm recording this on a Monday afternoon, by the way. So who knows what happened on Raw's debut on Netflix, which has not occurred as of me recording this. But I doubt they'll set any WrestleMania matches in stone. But if they do, I will look like a silly goose. So I want to get that out of the way there. And might as well just get into it, right? Might as well just get into what you guys got from me in terms of your wildest takes, wildest predictions for the road to WrestleMania 41. Let's start. I've kind of compiled everything, and we're going to go through it chronologically. We're going to start with Royal Rumble related predictions. Then we're going to get into kind of the road to Mania, other maybe like production things, maybe storyline, just kind of vague storyline predictions. And then we'll get into the specific match predictions that you guys have for us. And then we'll close out with what I think the card will be, or at least a snapshot of it. So let's start with the Royal Rumble, shall we? And we'll start with a prediction that I absolutely agree with, coming at us from Young Kings Wrestling on X. They say that John Cena will win the Royal Rumble. Now, I don't think that's a hot take, a hot prediction by any means. In fact, you're asking me right now, on January 6th, 2025, I think he's the front runner. John Cena, men's Royal Rumble. I mean, there's just so many. First of all, I could see him facing either Gunther or Cody Rhodes, assuming they're the champions at WrestleMania, which they may or may not be. But I could see that. I could see Gunther, John Cena. I could see them establishing maybe. And here's the thing with John Cena. I think the John Cena story in 2025 is going to be. I'm along for this ride, dude. I'm excited for it. The last time is now, his final year in wrestling. He set it up at Money in the Bank, and now we're here finally. I'm assuming he'll pop up on the debut of Raw on Netflix. We'll probably get that underway there. But man, this journey is going to be fun. Hopefully, John Cena puts on his working Jordans and gives us some effort, because his last couple matches have been just yikes. But it's his last year. I think he's here to commit. And he's always exciting to see him, man. He can talk anybody into a building. He's as hype can be. And he's one of the GOATs, man. I hate when people say one of the GOATs as if there's several GOATs, because there can only be one GOAT per the acronym. But one of the best of all time. This John Cena. Is he the best? Who knows? But Royal Rumble, I think, would be a great start for this story. Like I said, he could face Gunther. He could face Cody. The question is, does he win the title at WrestleMania? I don't think he does. I'm thinking, because everybody, it's the prevailing theory is that John Cena is going to be chasing number 17, which would break this alleged record set by Ric Flair, the 16-time world champion, of course. And the question is John Cena going to beat that record? As he sits now, as of recording, he's a 16-time world champion. So will he get number 17? It's a good question. I don't think that's a definite yes. I don't think it's definite at all. In fact, if I had to bet right now, I think I might say no. But who knows? That's the beauty of it, right? The intrigue, the unpredictability. You could have John Cena go and face Gunther at WrestleMania and beat him. Maybe the main event of one of the nights. Who knows? That'd be a fun moment. Or you could solidify Gunther. Have him destroy John Cena. Have him solidify, have Gunther solidify himself as world champion. Have him beat a legend in John Cena. And maybe even more importantly, continue that John Cena story going through the rest of the year. The 75% left to go. He's been knocked down, but that's kind of the story of his career. He gets knocked down and then he gets back up and then he overcomes and, also loyalty, whatever the fuck, right? That's something that I could see happening. I could see John Cena winning the Rumble, losing to Gunther, and then maybe winning a world title later down the road. Maybe Survivor Series, SummerSlam, something like that, right? That's kind of what I picture happening. Not to spoil what my predicted card is going to be later, but I could definitely see John Cena winning the Royal Rumble. I think he's the heavy front runner for the men. I mean, who else is even in the... Well, we'll talk. Well, we have some more takes related to the Rumble before we get to that. So, coming at us from Frank the Tank on Instagram, he says that LA Knight is going to be winning the men's Royal Rumble this year. When I first saw this, I was like, no, I don't think so, Tim. But when I thought more about it, I don't think it's the most far-fetched possibility. I don't think it's super crazy. Shout out, Mexicals. LA Knight. So let's run through it, right? LA Knight wins the Rumble. He could challenge Cody. That could happen, especially given, look, let's say, let's put all the pieces together, right? Let's say The Rock and Roman face at WrestleMania. WrestleMania, you got Rock versus Roman Reigns. Maybe you got Kevin Owens and Randy Orton finishing their story that they got going on at WrestleMania. Who else is there for Cody to face for the title? I'm assuming Cody's walking in as champion. Maybe he's not. But we're assuming that. Who else would Cody face? If Rock and Roman are tied up and Randy Orton and Kevin Owens are tied up, I guess technically you could have somebody wrestle on two different nights. Maybe you have Rock and Roman wrestle for the number one contendership. Like, that's a possibility, I guess. But, it's also possible that you just have Roman, Rock, Kevin Owens, Randy, and then LA Knight, Cody Rhodes. Who else would be in the picture to face Cody? I can't think of anybody offhand. So not a crazy prediction, but it is, it is fun. I don't hear anybody talking about LA Knight winning the Royal Rumble. So it is a fun thing to think about. I don't think he's out of the running by any means. The last one we got for the men's Royal Rumble comes at us from Brundo on the Discord, which, by the way, join the Discord, everybody. Link in the description. We have a fun old time there. Season 3 of the Predictions League will be starting here at the Royal Rumble. Winner gets a apron bump apron. So join that. We talk a lot of wrestling, old school, new school, all that shit. But Brundon says Jacob Fatu wins the Rumble and beats Cody at Mania Night 1. The next night, he becomes the new tribal chief, turning on Solo. Heyman turns on Roman and sides with him. That's a lot to chew on and swallow there. So basically, Jacob Fatu wins the Rumble, becomes WWE champion at WrestleMania, and then Heyman aligns with Jacob Fatu, and we essentially got a new tribal chief world champion in Jacob Fatu. I do not see this happening. Would I like it? Sure, why not? To me, it's when I read this and what I picture in my head, it feels like we're just doing the same thing that we just did with Solo. You know, Solo became the new tribal chief. Roman takes umbrage to this and they fight for the Ulafala. And I feel like we will just get a similar kind of narrative, but just Jacob Fatu and Roman, which would be cool, but I think it's just too similar to the power struggle we've seen with Solo and Roman. Now, I understand the Heyman element adds a different kind of texture to it, which would be fun. But I think Jacob Fatu, honestly, I think Jacob Fatu is capable of so much more than just being like the next guy in this bloodline, you know, the next guy to wear the necklace. Like I think he's capable of so much more. We'll touch on that later with my Mania, because I have Jacob Fatu factored into WrestleMania, but not in this capacity. I don't see Jacob Fatu winning the Rumble and beating Cody at night 1, but that would be sweet. You're not going to hear me complaining if that happens. I'm along for the ride. I almost think it'd be better if you just stopped it there. Like, honestly, like, just get Jacob out of the bloodline shit. Just let Jacob Fatu be Jacob Fatu. Let him be the werewolf. Let him be a dominant champion. Let him and Cody have a feud independent of the bloodline cinema. You know what I'm saying? I think that'd be pretty sick. But I like it, Brundo. I like it. Let's move on to the women's. We got some women's predictions here for the Royal Rumble. Matt Ritter from the Smack It Raw podcast comes on me. He says that Roxanne Perez will win the Royal Rumble and defeat Tiffany for the title. I'm assuming at WrestleMania. It could happen. I don't think that WWE would see Roxanne Perez versus Tiffany Stratton as a WrestleMania caliber title match yet. Down the road, for sure. I'd be shocked if we didn't see this match at WrestleMania at some point, especially with how young both those ladies are. We're definitely getting this scenario or something like this for sure at some point, right? I think it's too early this year. I think Roxanne Perez still has time in NXT. I think maybe stand and deliver NXT show around WrestleMania time. I think that might be her swan song. I think she still has a story to tell in NXT. And I think, but I think the next year or two, Roxanne's going to make a splash on the main roster. And yeah, so I don't think Roxanne's going to win the Rumble, but it'd be sweet. I'd be all for it. I love me some Roxanne. She's one of the unsung workhorses of 2024. Probably one of my favorite NXT women's title reigns that I've ever seen, honestly. Just based on match quality. The match quality, we're talking. From a character perspective, I don't know if the heel route is for her, but I think she's done the most of it. And NXT's for experimenting. You know, they had her do her underdog babyface run, and then now they're doing the heel. So we're testing, you know, can you do this? Can you do this? Okay, maybe you can do this better than this. Maybe when you're on the main roster, we know what path you need to take. That's what NXT is for. And I think people lose sight in that. But love me some Roxanne. And yeah, thanks, Pretty Ritty. Katie from the She Elite Showcase says that AJ Lee returns at the Royal Rumble. I mean, if not now, when? You know what I'm saying? I could definitely see it. Why not? Doesn't have to be a full-time return. It could just be a cameo, a one-off, or maybe it is a feud leading into Mania or something. Who knows? I think you would just get the inevitable CM Punk and AJ Lee mixed tag team matches, which like, I don't know. I feel like they would get too deep into that, much similar to like Edge and Beth or Seth and Becky. Like those never really end up great, in my opinion. But I'd love to see AJ Lee in this current crop of women. AJ was fucking awesome back in the day, dude. She was like the hottest, like in terms of momentum and, you know, just star power. She was one of the biggest stars of her time, like men and women. What was that like the 2011, 2012, whenever she was like red hot? Just didn't have a lot of dancing partners at the time, but she made the most of what she had. So to see her in just a ocean of talented women, the most talented roster ever assembled, in my opinion, talking about WWE, including NXT in that umbrella. I'm all for it, man. I'm all for it. Love me some AJ Lee. I don't think she would win the Rumble. Or would she? I don't think it's out of the question, which is fun. I like it. Katie. Marcus from the World Elite podcast says that Charlotte returns to face Tiffany at Mania for the women's title. This I could absolutely see. Marcus, he didn't specifically say at the Royal Rumble, but I'm kind of including it here because it's a possibility that Charlotte returns at the Rumble and wins. I think that's a heavy possibility. Faces Tiffany at WrestleMania. I mean, it's generations facing off against each other. Tall, blonde, athletic ladies that do moonsaults. Like, I think it'd be an awesome match, personally. I'd like to see it. I'm intrigued by where they would go from a story perspective. Charlotte has the ability right now to come back with a new character, a new paint of coat, as they say, and how it would mesh with Tiffany would be fun. I'm here for it. Marcus. All right. So that's the Rumble, right? And I'll get to my official predictions later when we map out the card for WrestleMania 41. But I like it. There's a lot of ways they can go with the Rumble. I think the women's might be more unpredictable this year than the men's. Men's Rumble, I think it's either John Cena, Seth Rollins, CM Punk, Roman Reigns, or The Rock. I think those are your 5 guys that are potential. We'll add in LA Knight. Why not? LA Knight to make it 6. I think those are 6 possibilities. Women, you got, Charlotte. It could be Io. It could be Liv or Rhea, whoever is not champion at the time. It could be a Jordan Grace. It could be another NXT call-up. Like, I think both Rumbles are pretty unpredictable. I would say I'm most confident in John Cena winning the men's, though, this year. Let's talk about the road to WrestleMania, as they say. The fast lane. The roadblock. The no way out to WrestleMania. Got a lot of different takes here, and we'll get into them. Let's just dive in. Vince Delgado from the Straight Talk podcast, from Get Show, from all over the place, says that one of these 2 men, and he posts a picture of CM Punk and John Cena, one of these 2 men will dethrone Gunther for the world title before or at WrestleMania. So we talked about Cena potentially beating Gunther, which is something that could happen. I think it's very plausible. Could even see it happening before WrestleMania. I don't think that's out of the question at all. Then maybe set up Cena defending the title at WrestleMania. That's another story they can go. That's another path they can take it. CM Punk, though, does he dethrone Gunther? For me personally, I think CM Punk's path between now and Mania involves Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. So CM Punk got a favor from Paul Heyman, and that's why Punk joined the War Games team to support Roman. So the question really is, what is that favor? He's led us all to believe through his promos that the favor was him being involved in the main event of WrestleMania. He's said it in promos since his return that is what he's here to do, basically, to headline WrestleMania. And the fact that it's a favor from Paul Heyman suggests that it would be against Roman Reigns. So do we get Punk versus Roman at WrestleMania. I think that's a heavy possibility. Would that be for the world title? So is there a world where Punk beats Gunther for the world title between now and Mania and then defends it against Roman Reigns? I guess, if Roman's going to be on Raw, and if the world title is going to stay the title on Raw, which actually it might not even be the case. I don't think it's an impossibility. I just don't see it happening. I don't see CM Punk being involved with Gunther between now and Mania. But again, not out of the realm of possibility, but can we just say it? Like, WWE has set the table here where there is so many moving parts. The universes of every character are like intertwined. So it's like, there's so many possibilities. There's so many different ways that they can go. It's not like these, during the Vince McMahon era, it was often like various linear paths. Like you had this path and you're on that path until it's over. And then the next guy is on this path. The next guy is on this path. Everybody had their lanes that they stayed in and they never meshed. They never intersected with other roads. But now everything's intersecting. It's fucking clover leafing. There's ramps. It's everything, right? So everything's kind of up in the air. And like I said, maybe I should have recorded this after the Netflix debut for Raw, because I think they might set the table for a lot of things on that show. But we got a lot of time between now and Mania, man. It's a quarter of a year. So a lot of time to set things up. So can't really write this off at all, but I just don't see this happening. For Punk, at least. I could see John Cena doing it for sure. Also, kind of related to this, Nate the Great on the Discord says that CM Punk will dethrone Gunther and Rollins will win the Royal Rumble and headline night 1 of WrestleMania. So CM Punk as the champion defending against Seth Rollins for the world title. Now this, when you add this layer, this is why I have such a great community here of people, throwing out these predictions and things like that. This actually makes sense. I didn't really think of it this way, but Nate, God damn it, pal. You make a good point. So Seth Rollins could absolutely win the Royal Rumble. Definite possibility. Now, maybe if CM Punk were to beat Gunther for the world title between now and Mania and Punk's the champion. Well, now CM Punk is still intertwined with Seth Rollins, like I mentioned, and now it's for the world title. Now we have a bona fide main event level match. But how does this relate to the Paul Heyman thing? It doesn't really. I feel like that's going to come into play. But I like it. Punk Rollins for the world title at Mania. That's fucking money, dude. Non-title, it's money. But for the world title in the main event, shit. You know what I'm saying? So I like it. Nate. We got a few predictions for debuts here on the road to WrestleMania. High Five Tom from the ROH Revelry podcast says that Jeff Cobb will join the Bloodline. I mean, yeah, sure. Maybe just slot him into whatever Bronson Reed was going to do. Jeff Cobb is an absolute monster. I support any endeavor that puts him on my TV more. I'm all about it. He's Polynesian enough to where he would fit. So, meets the criteria. I don't know what his contract situation is. Jeff Cobb with New Japan. I assume he's still there. I haven't really been keeping up with the Cobb. I've only been eating it the long way, but hell yeah, man. Jeff Cobb and the Bloodline, sign me up. RJ Singh comes at us. Professional wrestler, legend in the UK scene, former guest of the Apron Bump. Love me some RJ Singh. Still killing it to this day. Singh is king, is what I say. But RJ says that MJF debuts. Whoo-hee. Again, don't know what the contract situation for MJF. He's led us to believe that he's re-signed. But who knows? Who knows what's afoot? You know what I'm saying? So MJF debuting in WWE. I mean, he's got nothing else to do in AEW. just to be blunt. Was he going to start a new faction? What is he going to feud with somebody else and make them fight all of his henchmen to get to him again? Like, whatever. This isn't an AEW episode, and for good reason. Could not be more apathetic right now about MJF. But WWE MJF would establish a whole new universe for him. So to see him and Punk in the ring again, to see him and John Cena. MJF, John Cena on Cena's farewell tour. Come on, man. Roman Reigns. I mean, there's just endless possibilities. Endless possibilities. Would love to see it. Do not see it happening. I don't even know if it's possible. But I love the thought. I love the thought, RJ. We got another Singh coming at us. Doji Singh. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Doji says that Netflix won't be able to handle the traffic and it'll crash. So I watched the Jake Paul Mike Tyson fight, and it was a little buffery. It was a little pixelated at some points, but I don't think more people are going to be watching WWE than we're watching that boxing fight. Personally. Not only that, but I think Netflix saw this, how the fight went down with all the connection issues, and I would only assume that they've taken the measures to improve the servers or whatever needs to be improved, the capabilities, the bandwidth, whatever needs to be improved in preparation for WWE and whatever else. They got the NFL now, which I was watching the NFL on Netflix a few weeks ago, and it seemed to be fine. So I have faith that they'll be able to handle WWE Raw. But Doji also says that Vince McMahon at the announce table doing commentary. Well, it is a wild prediction, Doji. I think, you know what? I don't think that's impossible at some point in the future. I don't see it happening, but I do not think it's impossible. If you've been keeping up with the case and, you know, people filing whatever the hell, you know, it's not going to get into it, but Vince is probably going to get off scot-free, or he's going to die before it becomes anything. But Vince at the commentary table, I don't see that happening, but anything could happen in the World Wrestling Federation, as they say. And one more before we get to the kind of predictions in terms of the WrestleMania matches themselves. Tom Austin in the Discord says that Cody loses the title before Mania and doesn't main event either night. That'd be a stark downgrade from the previous years for Mr. Cody Rhodes, but I don't think it's a crazy possibility or a crazy prediction. Also, by the way, Ultra Instinct Just Zero on Instagram says that Roman Reigns does not main event either night of WrestleMania. Is there a world where night 1 of WrestleMania, night 2 of WrestleMania, neither night involves Cody Rhodes or Roman Reigns? Is there a possibility that Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns are both out of the main event for both nights this year? Well, let's say you have CM Punk versus Seth Rollins in the main event. What would the other main event be? Could you have a John Cena related main event? Maybe you have John Cena, Gunther one night, CM Punk, Seth Rollins the other night. I think that's the only way you don't get Cody or Roman in the main event, which I don't see that happening at all. But from an individual basis, Tom Austin says Cody Rhodes does not main event either night. If you have Seth and Punk one night, you have Rock and Roman one night. There it is. You know what I'm saying? But you could also flip it. You can just basically flip Roman and Cody. You can have Cody versus Rock one night, Seth versus Punk the other night, and Roman facing fucking Solo Sikoa or some shit in the undercard. I think both are possible. I personally, actually, I don't know. I think you'll definitely see at least one of them in a main event for sure. But maybe not both of them. We'll touch on that more later. But let's get into some predictions for the matches themselves from the community. I'm going to be responding to you guys in terms of your predictions, and then I'll move over to my card, what my predictions are. So first we got Matt Ritter says that The Rock will defeat Roman Reigns night 1 and dethrones Cody night 2. I guess I haven't really thought about that. You know, we've all posed the possibility of The Rock versus Roman Reigns, but who wins? I think everybody's just kind of gone under the assumption that Roman would beat The Rock and solidify himself as the tribal chief, but does The Rock beat Roman? So The Rock beats Roman and then beats Cody and takes his title. I don't think you're going to see The Rock beat Cody Rhodes and Roman. That's crazy. It's not impossible, which is why I'm laughing. I don't see this happening. But like, imagine if it did. Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns, they've been at the forefront of the main event scene for years and years. All these long-term stories. WrestleMania 39, building to 41. Just the two guys at the top of the mountain. And The Rock, and fucking Dwayne comes in. Is like, fuck all. It knocks them both off the mountain. Just in one fell swoop. Comes off filming Tooth Fairy 2 and just beats the biggest stars in the company. I like it. I don't think this is going to happen, but I just love to see the internet burn if this did happen. I could see each thing happening individually, but not in both. So The Rock beating Roman. I mean, that could just set up the next year of Roman's story. But The Rock beating Cody Rhodes and Rock becoming the WWE champion could also set up the year for Cody Rhodes. I don't see this happening, mainly because I don't see The Rock sticking around on a permanent basis for the next year or whatever. So you wouldn't really be seeing the WWE title defended. But then again, we kind of got that with Roman in the last year or two of his reign. So, I can see Rock beating either guy. I don't think he walks out as a champion, personally. Unless you count that stupid Muhammad Ali belt that he carries around pretending he's a champion. I love The Rock, but enough. You can't just make a belt and fucking put it around your shoulder. I'm the champion, are you? Asshole. Scott George says that John Cena beats Cody for the title. Punk beats Roman, turns heel. Then Punk beats Cena for the title. Thus, Paul Heyman's favor goes to Raw. So the end goal here is that Punk is the WWE champion with Paul Heyman by his side. So John Cena beats Cody for the title. Do I see that happening? I'd be shocked if we did not see Cody Rhodes versus John Cena at some point this year. I do not see John Cena beating Cody for the title. I think you're going to have a passing the torch situation, even though Cody's like 40 years old at this point. I think we're going to have more of a passing the torch kind of deal between those. I think that's going to be the dynamic between those two. Punk beats Roman, turns heel. Interesting. Well, I'll expand on that actually in response to another prediction from Fretz from the Wrestlemania podcast. He says, this is kind of related. It's a different prediction, but it's related. He says that CM Punk and Paul Heyman turn heel and align against Roman for a quote unquote favor in Showdown at WrestleMania. That's more of a path that I can see. Heel CM Punk versus babyface Roman Reigns. I can definitely see that happening. CM Punk aligning with Paul Heyman. Although, is that too much? Is that too on the nose of what they did in back in the early 2010s? Punk and Heyman together as heels as the WWE champion. Punk versus Roman. I don't think Roman's gonna. I don't know. I don't think people are gonna root for Roman against CM Punk. I have a tough time seeing that. I think there's too many. I just don't think the reaction to a CM Punk heel turn would be strong enough to warrant it. And that, like, if it was related to Roman, I could absolutely, I absolutely see CM Punk being heel at some point in this run. I don't think it involves the Bloodline universe, if that makes any sense. Nor do I see John Cena beating Cody for the title. It's John Cena versus fucking CM Punk for the WWE title again is fun, especially if you did it at like Money in the Bank this year. That'd be hilarious. But don't see any of this happening from either of you guys. But again, I keep saying it. It's not out of the question. Not out of the question. Actually, no, I do kind of see CM Punk and Paul Heyman turning heel against Roman Reigns. I could see that being the favor. I think it wouldn't be Paul Heyman turning heel. I think it'd be Heyman like he had to give CM Punk a favor. He didn't want to. Like, he still supports Roman Reigns, but it's like he kind of leads to a match between Punk and Roman in some way. There's still pieces that need to be filled in, gaps that need stuff inside of it, but I don't know. We'll figure it out. That's the journey. That's the fun of it. Fretz also says that John Cena beats Gunther for the world title and drops it to CM Punk at SummerSlam. This I could see. Cena beating Gunther for the world title. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good in my tum-tum when I read that. Yeah, man, I can't get myself to get behind John Cena beating Gunther for the world title. I just don't like that. I don't like it. But it's not impossible. I think if we're going to go through this entire story, if Cena's story in 2025 is, can I get number 17, him conquering Gunther would be a pretty satisfying end on the John Cena side of things. But Gunther is still going to be there after this year. Now, I guess he could recover. It's not, I mean, he's losing to John Cena. It's not the end of the world. But, I don't know, man, I just don't like it. But then in this scenario that Fretz is posing is John Cena beats Gunther for the world title, and then CM Punk versus John Cena for the title at SummerSlam, in which CM Punk beats John Cena. Personally, I'd rather see John Cena face new guys, I think is what I'm feeling here. Like Cena, Gunther, sure, throw it at me. Give me Cena, Cody. Give me Cena, LA Knight, even. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, just Punk and Cena, like, have like a fun Raw match or something, just kind of like just for fun, just for the laughs, just for the memes. But like, I don't know, do we need to do a whole world title program leading to SummerSlam between Cena and Punk? I think they've wrung that towel as much as they can. I don't think there's anything you can get out of a Punk and Cena feud that they haven't already done, personally. Eric Freeds from the Discord comes at us. He says that his wild take is that WWE takes the tag division seriously and we get a tag team battle royal at Mania. The winning team goes on to challenge the unified tag titles. So you're saying that the tag titles will be unified? I doubt that, seeing as how they just recently broke them apart and got new belts and all. I don't see them being unified, but you say that there'll be a tag team battle royal at Mania and the winning team goes on to challenge a champion. I could see that. The tag division is, I'm unclear as to what we get at Mania, because SmackDown's tag division has been quietly great. I'm wondering where they're going in the long term, or if there is even a long-term plan at all, which is why I could see them just be like, yeah, fuck it, there's a battle royal at Mania, whoever wins faces the champions, whatever. So I could definitely see that. I don't think that'd be necessarily WWE taking the tag team division seriously, but that is a wild take. That is a wild prediction for sure. Eric Freeds, he says his second wildest take is that Tony Khan buys a stake in WWE and enters Hook into a world title match between John Cena and Cody and has him win the Universal title. Well, I think that's obvious. Like, I think we all know that's going to happen. So I don't even know why you even submitted this. Like, it's pretty obvious that that's where they're going, you know? all the hints are there, right? Hook comes in and chokes out Cody and John Cena at once, I think. So can't wait to see that. But again, pretty obvious. I think we all see it coming. You know what I'm saying? Your mentor Joe on Instagrams. Again, these obvious guys, I want wild predictions. I want like things that nobody's thought about. Things that people don't think is going to happen. Like that's what I want. All right. I guess I'll read it though. Your mentor Joe says Andre the Giant returns and wins the world title. Like again, we all know this is going to happen. They've already set the gears in motion. Like it's the foreshadowings all over the place. We all know Andre the Giant is going to come back from the dead and be zombie Andre the Giant and win the title against zombie Bruno Sammartino. We all are aware that that's going to be the main event this year, WrestleMania. So enough with the predictable predictions, guys. Come on now. Fretz is back. He has another one. He says that Hulk Hogan appears and gets physical at, let's say, the Grayson Waller Effect Mania edition. So you see Hulk Hogan being a guest on the Grayson Waller Effect at WrestleMania. By golly, this is totally going to happen, isn't it? Because as of I just now read that Hulk Hogan's beer, what's it called? Real American Beer, is going to be like the official WWE beer. They're going to have logos on the ring mats for this beer. So Hogan's back, baby. Hogan is back in the universe. Can't cancel that guy. So Hulk Hogan will definitely be making appearances, probably at WrestleMania too. And Fretz is suggesting that he's going to get physical with somebody, not in a match capacity, but a talk show or some segment. Grayson Waller Effect seems like a great candidate because I don't know what those guys are doing for WrestleMania. Him in theory, I don't know what they got going on. So, and Grayson's a guy I could definitely see Hogan, let me give you the big boot. And he's not throwing out big boots, but let me give you a few punches and I'm gonna throw you over the top rope, brother. So could definitely see this happening for sure. Fretz also says that Solo Sikoa walks out of WrestleMania as the United States champion, which is very interesting because after Solo, I mean, how long can this bloodline kind of narrative run? Tonight he's facing Roman Reigns for the Ulafala, for the tribal chiefdom. And I'm assuming Roman's going to win, in which case, where does that leave Solo? Solo's lost several world title matches, and if he loses to Roman, where does that put him? Could definitely just throw him in the United States title scene. To me, that would feel like a consolation prize for Solo, which I don't love, but could definitely see it because he's got to do something after he leaves this universe of Roman and Rock and Cody and all that shit. So I have another proposal for Solo at WrestleMania, which we'll get into here in a second, but him walking out of Mania as the US champion is definitely plausible for sure. Fretz has one more for us. I guess it's kind of a two-parter. Fretz says that the New Day will have a triple threat match at WrestleMania. So Big E versus Xavier Woods versus Kofi Kingston. And he puts in parentheses, cough, cough, handicap match, cough, cough, which, by the way, shout out the New Day storyline going on right now. Xavier and Kofi turning on Big E. Big E left us like so emotional, so real. Is enough of a swerve to where it still made sense, but you didn't really see that path coming. And just the dynamic of it, because they didn't attack Big E physically, but Big E clearly still wants to be with these guys. So it's not, to me, it's not as much of a breakup between the two entities here, but it's more like they're separated now. And the story, in my opinion, is that Big E wants to steer Xavier and Kofi straight and get back to their former glory of a trio of the New Day. Xavier and Kofi don't think Big E is going to come back. Big E's going to show them. It's all very intriguing, and it makes me excited to see where they're going with it, because they're clearly not going in the typical, oh, I turned heel on you, I hit you with the steel chair, you people. Like, it's not like the generic heel turn kind of thing. I like where they're going with it. And to me, I think a triple threat match would be the generic way to go with it, personally. Unless you added some elements to it. Which, again, more foreshadowing. I will include this in my WrestleMania prediction for the card, but we'll add a little spice to it. We're going to add some spices to it. But Fred also says, like in the lead up, that Kofi and Xavier give Big E a spike pile driver on the road to their match, which would be crazy. Crazy. Can you imagine? Because they've been coming out, they're confused as to why the crowd's booing them. You got to think it's slowly building, and eventually it's going to brim over, and they're going to snap. And if the way that they snap is by giving Big E a spike pile driver, that would be just, oof. I mean, you couldn't just have a WrestleMania match after that, right? You'd have to put Big E on the shelf for another year if that happened. But I don't know. Pile driver selling is pretty inconsistent these days. So, Randy Orton's been out for months, and Cody came back the next week after a package pile driver. But, I digress. All right. Well, those are your guys' hot, wild predictions. Appreciate everybody for submitting them. But now we're going to take all this into account, right? It's kind of been my road to WrestleMania, because I'm on the road. I'm reading what you guys think, and it's all kind of factoring into what I think. You're kind of pushing me one way and another way. And here's the card. Here's my official prediction for the cards at WrestleMania. So my official Royal Rumble predictions. For the men, I got John Cena winning. For the women, I got Io Sky winning. Elimination Chamber. Didn't really talk about Elimination Chamber so much, but that's kind of just the afterbirth of Royal Rumble nowadays. We got Cody Rhodes retaining the WWE title in the Elimination Chamber. Why is he defending the title in an Elimination Chamber? Well, because The Rock is here to make Cody defend the title, because Cody and Rock still got beef. Hey, it's Future Kyle here, popping in. Turns out Rock and Cody no longer have beef. I guess all is forgiven. Dwayne bloodying Cody in the rain against his bus, and then threatening his mother. I guess we're all cool now, though. We're all cool now. Yeah, I did end up watching the Netflix Raw before posting this, so just wanted to make a quick amendment here. I'll probably make a few more here in a second, but Rock and Cody no longer have beef. Doesn't seem like Rock's going to be at WrestleMania at all. So here, I'm gonna keep what the story could have been between Rock and Cody, because I think that's pretty interesting. Probably more interesting than where they'll go. But instead of Cody retaining in the Elimination Chamber, I actually think Randy Orton is going to win the title in the Elimination Chamber. More on that in a second, folks. Rock is the big wig here at TKO, and he can do whatever he wants. So he's going to swing his big old rock cock and make Cody Rhodes defend his title against 5 other guys in a chamber match. But Cody Rhodes prevails and retains his title in Elimination Chamber and walks into WrestleMania as the WWE champion. Also at Elimination Chamber, I got Charlotte winning the women's chamber match and earning her way into a title match at WrestleMania, which I think would be her first Elimination Chamber match. I could be wrong on that, but that'd be a cool moment if that were to happen, especially Charlotte returning after a long layoff. I mean, it just writes itself, especially with what the match would be. So the cards. So I'm going to list off for each night. I'm going to list off the card, and then I'm going to go back and kind of expand on some things, but I'm just going to list off the card match by match here. So night 1, headlined by CM Punk versus Roman Reigns. The world title match is Gunther as the champion defending against John Cena. The WWE Women's title match is Tiffany Stratton defending against Charlotte. We have a 6-man tag team match. The team of Drew McIntyre, Kevin Owens, and Seth Rollins facing off against Sami Zayn and the Usos. United States title match. The champion, Shinsuke Nakamura, defending it in a fatal 4-way match against LA Knight, Karrion Kross, and Carmelo Hayes. The World Tag Team title match. We got the champions, the War Raiders, defending against the team of Logan and Jake Paul. And the women's intercontinental title match, you got Dakota Kai, the champion, defending against Bayley. You got a special intergender match. Rhea Ripley versus Dominic Mysterio. And you got a number 1 contenders match for the Intercontinental title. It is a triple threat match. Big E versus Kofi Kingston versus Xavier Woods. So that's night 1. We talked about Punk and Reigns, the Heyman favor, all of that stuff, right? I don't think a title's even involved. I think you just have CM Punk versus Roman Reigns main eventing WrestleMania. John Cena, Gunther, talked about that. Cena winning the Rumble, challenging Gunther. Pretty cut and dry there. I think Gunther would beat John Cena, and I think John Cena might get a title win further down the line in the course of his farewell year. Tiffany Stratton, Charlotte. Again, Charlotte wins the chamber, earns herself a title match against Tiffany Stratton because Io Sky will pick the world champion, the women's world champion, to face off against. 6-man tag. You got, Drew McIntyre, Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins. They've all been this anti-bloodline crusade. I think. I don't know if it'd be like an official faction, although it'd be pretty sweet. But I think they all band together, at least for this night, to face off against Sami Zayn and the Usos. U.S. title match is kind of just whatever. I don't know. It's not. I'm not stoked. Look, I have a Shinsuke poster behind me. Love me some Shinsuke Nakamura. 2025 Shinsuke doesn't really move me at all, and you got a lot of talented guys. LA Knight's always, he needs to be in the picture somewhere. Still red hot. Carmelo Hayes, they're trying with this guy. I don't have faith that he's gonna, break this ceiling of just resilient mid-carder cocky guy. Karrion Kross is a guy that has made a lot of strides in the past year. So I think, whatever. US title, couple of guys that have some momentum, throw them in there. World Tag Team titles, War Raiders versus the Paul brothers. I mean, come on. How fun is this? Netflix. I mean, you had Jake Paul on Netflix against Mike Tyson. Logan Paul, of course, WWE mainstay at this point. We haven't seen these guys team up yet. What better time to do that for the first time than WrestleMania? Also, with the fact that where else does Logan slot in? I didn't really see any other way to get him in there, but he's definitely got to be on the show at some point. So, and who else? I mean, are the War Raiders just gonna keep fighting Judgment Day over and over again? I don't even know what other tag teams are on Raw. So, fucking Eric and Ivar versus the Paul brothers would be hilarious and might be a fun match. It probably would be a fun match, I would say. And then the women's IC title match here, I'm assuming Dakota Kai wins the tournament and faces off against Bayley. Bayley's never been a mid-card women's champion, of course, because they just introduced them. The damage control implications in terms of the story are there. Like maybe have a Bayley heel turn against a babyface Dakota Kai. How, damage control turned on me, but they kept cheering for you guys. There's story there. There's somewhere they can go. And I think heel Bayley is where she thrives. So it'd be a fun little twist to the story of damage control lore, and having it be for the IC title would just be the icing on the cake. So Rhea Ripley versus Dominic Mysterio. Hey, future Kyle, back at you. So originally I had Liv Morgan walking into WrestleMania as the world champion, but as per Raw last night, she lost the title to Rhea Ripley, So that threw a bit of a monkey wrench in my plans. But for the sake of this, let's just say Rhea Ripley pulls double duty and she wrestles Dom on night 1 and then defends the title on night 2. Who is she going to be defending against? Well, you're just going to have to keep listening, you delectable morsel, you. I mean, that just writes itself. I mean, the story, they've been dragging this story for, it feels like years at this point. Rhea and Liv, I mean, that's, they've gotten all they can get out of that. But the first ever, probably not the first ever, but the first, like the most significant intergender match on WWE TV, Rhea Ripley versus Dominic Mysterio. It's a believable match in the context of what WWE tries to present, Rhea Ripley versus how they present Dominic. It'd just be a fun showcase. And maybe my favorite incorporation into this card, the number one contenders triple threat match for the number one contendership for the IC title, the Intercontinental title, the New Day, Big E, Kofi, Xavier, triple threat match. The story here that I'm proposing is that Big E, because we just talked about the story how Kofi and Xavier thought Big E abandoned them. Big E still believes in the New Day. He still believes in this friendship. And he just wants it like old times again. He wants their friendship. I would even say he wants their friendship more than he wants championship gold, which is reflected in this match because I see Big E essentially helping Xavier Woods win the match. You could have like Big E gives Kofi Kingston the big ending and then maybe like leaves the ring to allow Xavier Woods to pin Kofi Kingston or something like that. Or maybe he even gives both of them the big ending. So both Kofi and Xavier are laid out. Big E drapes Xavier's lifeless body over Kofi and Xavier Woods wins the match. Why does this make sense? We'll touch more on that on night 2. Now let's run down the night 2 card. Headlined by Randy Orton defending the WWE title against Cody Rhodes. Women's World title is Rhea Ripley defending against Io Sky. The Intercontinental title match is Braun Breaker defending against Xavier Woods. The WWE Tag Team title match is DIY versus Motor City Machine Guns in a 2 out of 3 falls match. Yeah, we have a special grudge match. We have Solo Sikoa versus Jacob Fatu. We have a tag team match. We got Damian Priest and Bad Bunny versus Finn Balor and JD McDonough. Women's United States title match. We got Chelsea Green defending against Piper Niven. And the opening match, we have Rey Mysterio versus Penta. Oh yeah, let's get into this, baby. Rey and Penta. I mean, come on. Just it harkens back to the Rey Mysterio Eddie Guerrero match at WrestleMania 21. It's just like, we're buddies. Let's steal the show. And they went out there and tried to do that, right? Unfortunately, it was Kurt and Sean that did that night. But Penta and Rey Mysterio, they faced off against each other in Lucha Underground, which if you have not seen that match, do whatever you got to do to check it out. It's fucking incredible. And pretty much any Penta match in Lucha Underground is worth your time. Rey Mysterio also has a lot of great matches there too. But Penta and Rey Mysterio on this stage would be tremendous. I have faith in Penta being able to rise above in the WWE system because he's not just another luchador that does flips. Penta has so much more to him. I hope he doesn't just become a caricature. I hope he doesn't continue to be just the Cero Miedo guy. I hope his presentation is more akin to what he was in Lucha Underground, which is a very dark, very violent guy that was just happened to be a good wrestler. Him and Rey, it could be a babyface versus babyface match. It could be Penta turning heel on the LWO or something. I don't want him to be in the LWO universe or the Legado universe. I want Penta to be his own guy, but I think him versus Rey just writes itself. I think that's money. Women's United States title match. You got Chelsea Green, Piper Niven. Chelsea and Michin have a feud going on right now, but I assume Chelsea's going to hold on to that title for a bit. I don't know. She could really face anybody. For the U.S. title, Piper Niven is just, they love to do the breakup thing. The bodyguard turns on bodyguardee, and it's a time-tested story that I think they could easily resort to again. So Chelsea versus Piper. I think Chelsea would retain here. Damian Priest and Bad Bunny versus Finn Balor and JD McDonough. Just Bad Bunny, he's fun. He's a member of he's a part of this WWE universe. He's had matches. He's had great matches. Him and Damian could bury the hatchet from Puerto Rico a few years ago. And I guess keep this Damian Finn feud. Maybe it's the culmination of the Damian Priest Finn Balor feud, which, yes, I am also tired of it, but you add Bad Bunny into the mix. It's just a fun little showcase match. Nothing crazy. Solo Sikoa versus Jacob Fatu. Talked about this a little earlier. I think it was Brundon that said that he thought that Jacob Fatu could win the Rumble and then beat Cody for the WWE Championship. I don't think we're there yet, but I think this is a step in that direction. Solo versus Jacob Fatu. I think at some point they have turmoil within this version of the bloodline. Maybe Solo loses the Ula Fala and then he starts blaming his guys, and then Jacob Fatu takes umbrage to this. I mean, just think he does the "I love you Solo" thing, right? Just think of it all culminates. Jacob Fatu is getting berated by Solo. He's getting disrespected by Solo. He's getting shoved. He's like, "What are you doing, you big dumb werewolf," or whatever the hell. And then Jacob Fatu looks at him. He puts his hands together. "I hate you, Solo." And then he kicks the shit out of him. I mean, come on now. Let's do it. Solo versus Jacob Fatu. Fatu kicks the shit out of Solo, and he goes on to bigger and better things, is what I say. Have him be the Backlash world title challenger. Fuck it. Let's do it. WWE Tag Team title match. Again, there's so many teams. You could throw the Street Profits in here. You could throw Guerrillas of Destiny in here. What other teams? Waller and Theory, maybe, I guess. You could have... I hope they don't just do another fucking ladder match. I hope they do not have any ladder matches at WrestleMania. We've seen too many of them recently. We had one last year for the tag team titles. We don't need to do it again. I think just have DIY, Motor City Machine Guns have a hot feud culminating into a 2 out of 3 falls match at WrestleMania. I think that's the most intriguing possibility for me. But again, if you want to slot in the Street Profits in there or something, like, I'd be fine with that too. But I have DIY versus MCMG. Just 2-on-2. IC title match. Braun Breaker versus Xavier Woods. So we're assuming that Xavier Woods wins the night 1 number 1 contendership match, the New Day triple threat, with the help of Big E. So Xavier Woods is here. And he comes into this match thinking, maybe we made a mistake. And maybe me and Kofi, maybe we judged Big E. Maybe we underestimated the love that he has for us. So Xavier Woods comes into this match, a guy who has yet to win a singles title, and now he has the opportunity to do this on the biggest stage that there is, WrestleMania. He's in here with a lot of emotions. Emotions from the New Day triple threat in the previous night. Where does Big E stand? Where does his internal struggle? Did I judge Big E too hastily? But I got to put that aside because I have an IC title match to win. Braun Breaker, the dominant Intercontinental Champion. Who's going to beat him? Nobody can beat him. But Xavier Woods does. Maybe with the help of Big E. Not necessarily, maybe not necessarily Big E like helping Xavier cheat or anything, but maybe Braun Breaker's trying to cheat or something and Big E like stops him, or Big E gets involved. Maybe he's just a ringside. He's rooting on Xavier Woods. Even with the words that X and Kofi said to Big E still loves him. And this is slowly getting absorbed in Xavier's mind throughout the match. And he's able to finally triumph, beats Braun Breaker. Finally, after, 13, 14 years, Xavier Woods finally wins a singles title in WWE, all due to the help of his brother, Big E. And then we have a New Day group hug in the middle of the ring. New Day's back together. I think that's where we go. Maybe WrestleMania is too early for this. I'm honestly thinking. You could probably stretch out that story to maybe SummerSlam, Survivor Series even. But I think it's a fun prospect for WrestleMania. Women's World Title match, Rhea Ripley versus Io Sky. Again, Io Sky wins the Rumble. Pretty cut and dry. Io's red hot, I think. I think people really love Io Sky right now. She's killing it. Throwing a world title. I mean, she killed it last year in the world title match against Bayley. One of the best women's matches of the year, in my opinion. So I think this would be fun. I think it'd be pretty fun. And then this night 2 is headlined by Cody defending against The Rock. No, it won't be. It'll be Randy Orton defending the WWE title against Cody Rhodes. The history's there. Legacy, Ted DiBiase Jr., the DiBiase posse. I guess that doesn't really factor into this. But Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton have the history. Randy was Cody's mentor in his early years. They were a faction. They've been associated with each other pretty much since Cody's come into the WWE. Is one of his first matches was against Randy Orton. Maybe his very first match. So the history is there. They've teamed up together to face the Bloodline, but perhaps Randy Orton takes umbrage with how Cody has treated Orton throughout Orton's injury that he suffered from Kevin Owens. So there could be some personal animosity there. Maybe Orton just doesn't want to have friends anymore. Maybe he's done having fun and he wants to get back to having championships. There's a lot of different ways they can go with this. And I'd be along for the ride. And I think the match would be pretty fun as well. Old school wrestling. That's what Daddy likes. So that's pretty much what we got here. So that's it. By the way, if you're watching on YouTube, I'll have a graphic of the official card. So if you just want to like visually look at the whole card as a whole, I'll post it on social media probably as well, the Discord, all that stuff. So what do you guys think of the card, huh? Take a look at it. Take a look at it. It's on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, take a look at it. Or if you're listening, what do you think as far as what I've talked about? Are there things you like, things you don't like, things you agree with, things you don't agree with? Let me know. Leave a comment if you're watching on YouTube. I think you can leave comments on Spotify now. Do that if you want. Join the Discord. Let's talk about it. Let's fine-tune some things if you want. Hit me up on social media at Apron Bump on all the social medias. Would love to discuss with you. You guys bring a lot of fun predictions and takes that I can kind of bounce off of. So it'd be fun to have that kind of back and forth more. So with that, I think that about does it, huh? It's been a fun old time. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Love you, love you. We'll get back to the retro stuff next week. Holiday season, it's been kind of touch and go. A lot of out of town stuff. So I haven't had as much time to watch wrestling in the past couple weeks. But we'll be back red hot next week with some retro wrestling as per the Apron Bump and what you all love from the Apron Bump. So stay tuned from that. Subscribe, like, follow, finger in my butt. Do all those things. With that, I'll love you. I'll leave you. Appreciate you guys. Big ol' smooches all over your face. I'm hard.
Yeah. And the hardest, talk around and disregard it. Strip you off the ground, show you what hard is. Standing strong and proud, nothing can knock it. Let's get it started. It's the hardest, talk around and disregard it. Strip you off the ground, show you what hard is. Standing strong and proud, nothing can knock it. Let's get it started.